Two brothers were locked in the same prison. As children, they suffered the same fear, the same captivity, the same years behind the same walls. One of them walked out and became one of the most beloved figures in the Ottoman court. The other walked out and became the most feared monster in European history. Same prison, same trauma, opposite men. So here's the question this whole video is built around. Are monsters born or are they made? Because if it was the trauma that created the monster, then why did his brother in the same cell turn out fine? Hold on to that. We're going to answer it, and the answer says something uncomfortable about all of us. This is the true story of Vlad the Impaler, the real Dracula. Let's start with the name, because even the name is a clue. His father was Vlad II, known as Vlad Dracul. Dracul meaning dragon. He earned it by joining a holy order sworn to fight the Ottoman Empire. So when his son came, they called him Dracula, son of the dragon. Centuries later, a writer named Bram Stoker would borrow that name for vampire and bury the real man under the myth. But the real man was scarier than any vampire, because he was real. Vlad was born around 1431 in Transylvania, a son of a prince in one of the most dangerous regions on earth, caught between two empires that wanted to swallow it. Hungary on one side, the Ottomans on the other, and in that world his father made a terrible deal. To prove his loyalty to the Ottoman Sultan, Vlad's father handed over two of his sons as hostages, as a guarantee. Vlad was about 11 years old. His little brother Radu was even younger. Imagine that. You're a child, and your own father gives you to his enemies to save himself. If he steps out of line, you are the one who pays. That's where it begins. Now history tells us the two boys were treated differently and reacted differently, and this is the part that matters most. Radu, the younger brother, adapted. He was charming, handsome. He caught the eye of the Sultan's own son maimed. He converted. He embraced the Ottoman world. He found a place inside the very court that imprisoned him. He survived by belonging. Vlad did the opposite. By the accounts that come down to us, Vlad was stubborn, defiant. He was beaten for it, punished for it. And while he was held captive, he likely saw the Ottoman method of execution up close. Impalement, a long stake, a slow, deliberate, agonizing death. A form of killing designed not just to end a life, but to terrorize everyone watching. Vlad watched and learned and remembered, so already you can feel the two paths splitting. Same cell, two boys. One leans into the world that holds him. The other hardens into hatred for it. Then it gets worse. While the brothers were hostages, back home their father and their older brother were murdered, betrayed by their own noblemen, the boyars. Their older brother, by some accounts, was blinded with hot iron and buried alive. So picture Vlad now, a teenager, a hostage of his enemies. And his family back home has been slaughtered by the very nobles who were supposed to serve them. Everyone who should have protected him had failed him, or betrayed him, or sold him. And when Vlad finally got out and clawed his way to the throne of Wallachia, he came back a different creature entirely. He came back to take revenge on a world that had taught him only one lesson, that trust gets you killed. What he did next made him a legend of horror. The nobleman who had betrayed his family, he invited them to a feast, and then had them impaled or worked to death building his fortress. His enemies, foreign and domestic, met the same fate. The stake, by the thousands, and in 1462, the most infamous moment of all. The Ottoman army, the same empire that had held him captive as a boy, marched into Wallachia to destroy him. They were led in part by his own brother, Radu, now fighting for the other side. Vlad couldn't beat that army head-on, so he did something out of a nightmare. He burned his own land so they'd have nothing to eat. He poisoned wells. And as the Ottoman army approached his capital, they came upon something that stopped them cold. A forest of the dead. Thousands of impaled bodies, Ottoman prisoners, stretched across the landscape for nearly a mile, rotting on stakes in the sun. The Sultan maimed. One of the most powerful men in the world, the conqueror of Constantinople, reportedly took one look at that forest of corpses and turned around. Vlad had weaponized horror itself. He understood that fear could defeat an army that swords couldn't. Now, here's where we have to be honest with you. A lot of what we know about Vlad came from pamphlets printed in Germany after his fall. The printing press was brand new, and stories of Vlad's cruelty were some of the very first bestsellers. Tales of him dining among the dead, dipping his bread in blood. Some of that was true. Some was political propaganda from his enemies, designed to destroy his name. So we can't trust every gory detail, but the core is real enough. The impalements happened. The forest of the dead happened. The man ruled through terror. That part history does not really dispute. He was eventually overthrown, imprisoned for years. He briefly took back his throne, and then around 1476 he was killed in battle. His head reportedly cut off and sent to the Sultan as a trophy. But let's go back to our question, because that's why we're here. Are monsters born or made? And now we have the two brothers to test it, if trauma alone creates monsters. Radu should have become one too. He went through the same nightmare, the same hostage years, the same fear, but he didn't. He adapted, charmed, survived, and integrated. And Vlad became a man who planted forests of corpses, so the trauma can't be the whole answer. The same fire that hardened one brother into a weapon, shaped the other into a courtier. Here's what psychologists who study trauma actually find. Childhood trauma doesn't program a single outcome. It's not a button that creates a monster. What it does is push a developing mind toward extremes, and which extreme you reach depends on temperament, on the choices you make, on who you decide to become in response to the pain. Two people can live through the same horror. One spends their life protecting others from ever feeling it. The other spends their life inflicting it. Trauma loads the gun, but it doesn't pull the trigger. The person still does. Vlad chose the stake, Radu chose the court. The cell didn't decide, they did, and that's the uncomfortable part. The part that reaches off the screen and points at you because we love to say he was a monster. It's comforting, it puts him in a separate category from us, a different species, but Vlad wasn't born a monster. He was born a boy who was betrayed, imprisoned and broken, and then made a series of choices about what to do with that pain, which means the line between victim and monster is thinner than we want it to be. And it's not crossed in a single moment, it's crossed in 1,000 small decisions about what to do with the things that hurt us. So let's bring it home. In one line, two brothers went into the same darkness. One turned it inward and adapted. One turned it outward and became Dracula. The trauma didn't choose for them, they chose. And that leaves you with the only question that actually matters. The pain in your own life, the betrayals, the things that were done to you that you didn't deserve. You can't control that they happened. But what you build out of them, who you become because of them, that part is still yours, and that is the difference between the two brothers in the cell. That is the difference between everyone who's ever been hurt, and almost everyone has.